Okay, let's go over this worksheet, and I filled in the y-intercepts, which were a little hard to know exactly what they were supposed to be. So the equilibrium price and quantity before the tax, we are here. Price is 75, quantity is 10. Consumer surplus is this triangle from 200 down to 75 and across to the 10, and then up along the demand curve, because consumer surplus is the area in between the demand curve and the price. So area of that triangle is 1/2. It's a right triangle, so either one could be the base and either one could be the height. I'm going to call this the base, so that's 125. I'm going to call this the height, which is 10. And that is 625. The producer surplus is this lower triangle above the supply curve and up to the price. So it's 1/2. So this 75 minus 1250, 6250, and then 10 is 312.50. So surplus, it's measured in dollars. I mean, everything here is, this is the price and quantity line. So this is all in dollars. What you're willing to pay and what you have to pay, it's both dollars, and so the difference is dollars. So the amount of tax, we can see this by comparing a point on the supply curve with a point directly above it. And we could do that anywhere that was convenient because it's parallel lines separated by the tax. And I think it's most convenient to do it right on the y-axis, and you can see it's 75. The new price for buyers and the new quantity, well, they're going to come to this equilibrium here. I mean, since this is the supply curve and the demand curve, we have a new intersection, and that is a quantity of 6. Now, buyers are going to pay 125. Sellers are only going to be able to keep 50. It's the 125 minus 75, or we can go over from this. Here's our equilibrium intersection, and we go down to the old supply curve and over to the y-axis at 50. So they collect 125 from the buyers. 75 gets taken out and sent in, submitted in to the tax authorities, and they get to keep 50. So the burden of the tax, well, for sellers, the price has gone up from 75 to 125. That's a difference of 50. And the total tax was 75. So it's 2/3 of the burden is on the buyers, or 66.67%. The sellers used to get 75, now they only get 50. So it's 25 divided by the $75 tax, or 1/3, and that adds up to 1. I mean, we could have found this 1/3 just by saying, well, if the buyers have 2/3, the sellers have 1/3, but it's always good to solve it from the numbers and make sure that you've got it right there. The new consumer surplus, well, that's up here. Right, between the demand curve and the new price they're paying. So it's 1/2. 200 minus 125, that's only 75, and times 6. So that is 225. The new producer surplus is down here, 1/2. So 50 minus 1250 is 3750. And again, the height, if we think about this as being like a triangle, this is the bottom of the triangle, this is the side of the triangle. The height is 6. And that is 112.50. So how much tax revenue is collected? That's this box in the middle. The tax is 75 times 6. 450. And then finally, the deadweight loss is over here. And that is to find the area of that triangle. Now that's why I always did the height as being the quantity axis and the base as being the vertical distance, because when it comes to this triangle, it's not a right triangle, and you have to use this is the base and this is the height. So it's 1/2 75 times, now what this distance is, it's from 6 to 10, or 4, so it's 150. And let's just double check our originally surplus. We just had the consumer surplus plus producer surplus. It was 625 plus 312.50, 937.50 after the tax. We have the new consumer surplus, we have the new producer surplus, we have the tax, and we have the deadweight loss. The new consumer surplus is 225. The new producer surplus is 112.50. The tax is 450, and the deadweight loss is 150. And if we sum up all these things, we get that same number, 937.50. So the tax has made a higher price for the buyers, taking away some of their consumer surplus. Sellers are now getting a lower price. They've lost some of their producer surplus. This square here, or this shape, has been carved out of the surplus and taken by the government as tax. And then we have deadweight loss, since we're producing only 6 units now instead of 10. These 4 units don't get produced, so their surplus is not realized. Let me know if you have questions.